Why Josh Richardson will help Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavs win an NBA title in 2021. Hello and welcome back to Full Court Press. Go subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up with our latest videos. Now let's get into it. Luka Doncic is one of the best players, not just in the Western Conference, but in the entire NBA. At just 21 years old, he's obviously the face of the Mavs franchise, a bona fide superstar, and one of the best players when the stakes are at their highest. Luka's organization, the Dallas Mavs, are a proud franchise that's hosted so many great players in its past and are poised to try to get back to the talks of being a title contender in the NBA. Both Luka and the Mavs got closer to potentially winning a chip in 2021 because of a few key moves and, more importantly, a player in Josh Richardson. Today we're going to talk about Josh Richardson's game, what he brings to the Mavs, along with why they went out and traded for him, and how he's going to make their team better immediately. So who is Josh Richardson? Josh Richardson is a 6'6" wing player with a nearly 7-foot wingspan. He played college hoops at the University of Tennessee, go Vols, and he started his NBA career with the Miami Heat. After 4 years of continued improvement and displaying his skills as a two-way player, last year he was actually acquired by the 76ers as they went all in to try to win a title. Well, last week, after a decent year in Philadelphia, the Mavs actually sent Seth Curry to the 76ers in exchange for Josh Richardson and a second-round pick, which actually turned out to be Tyler Bey. So obviously every NBA fan recognizes the last name Curry, and you know with a Curry being involved, you're trading one of the best shooters in the entire NBA. But this move to go get Josh Richardson definitely makes the Mavs team a much better team, a much more versatile team. So let's dig further into his game and why they pulled the trigger on this. So as mentioned, Josh Richardson is a great two-way player. He's one of the best two-way guys in the NBA. He can do it all on the floor. And although he isn't really great at one specific thing, he can do everything well. The best part of his game, and one of the things that are probably his greatest strength, is for sure his defense. Like, he's a great defender. He can sit down, just straight guard. He's long, he's got length, he's athletic, he's quick. He can pick up perimeter guys and scores. He can obviously guard the two guards. He can pick up the three when needed as well because of his wingspan and length. So he's got the long arms, he's got the twitchy reaction, and the young legs. And by young legs, I mean he can run all day. He can run around chasing people. He's reliable, and he holds up on that end better than a little bit older players. So on the offensive end, I mean, Josh Richardson is no slouch there either. Like, he brings a lot to the table. When he first started out with the Heat a few years ago, due to the team's injuries, he was forced to really play make, handle the ball more, and you see that in his game now. Like, it's really served him well. Josh Richardson can run the point. He can get a team in the sets. He can handle the ball. He's got a good handle, and with his size, if he's able to see an advantage, he can take advantage of it. You know, if you give him an opportunity, he can capitalize on it, especially off the bounce. So he's a good player. Obviously, there's more to scoring than just being able to dribble and make plays. He can also use that athleticism to finish at the basket. He gets to the rim. He's gotten better with both hands, finishing off the glass. He's got a little bit of a pull-up mid-range jumper, which is nice, but he's probably a good three-point shooter, and that's what you probably know him more for, is being able to spot up, get his feet set. He was definitely the best three-point shooter on the 76ers last year, which isn't saying much, but still, he catches and shoots the ball very well from three, and he also has the ability to do so off the bounce. So he is the type of player and kind of that mold and frame of when you're thinking of the perfect NBA player, he's that type of guy, and every team in the league needs, and especially wants, as many of them as you can get your hand on, especially if you're trying to play deep into the playoffs. He brings the toughness on the defensive end. He's versatile offensively. He can play different positions. He spaces the floor really well. And again, he just doesn't hamper you or give you any limitations. You can keep your continuity, your fluidity on offense. And again, when you think about everything that he brings to the table, if you're the Mavs and also Mav fans, you've got to be excited and pumped to get your hands on him. So obviously the Mavs have two really big pillars in their organization in Luka and Kristaps Porzingis. And Porzingis will actually miss some time at the start of the season, but it was really important for this team to make sure they got the right pieces around those two, especially moving forward. The Mavs have always been a great offensive team, and by the numbers, they were definitely one of the best and most efficient last season. And when you have Luka Doncic, right, like obviously you're going to be up there. But as a team, they do a really good job. They're very skilled offensively. They've got great shooting, and they can score it at all three levels. Now, although they did trade Seth Curry, who is a fantastic three-point shooter, Josh Richardson is a good enough shooter that it's not like they're going to have a huge drop-off. It's not like they went out and got a guy like John Wall, Russell Westbrook, or anyone who's just not a non-shooter. So in the playoffs, obviously Luka was hampered by the ankle injury. He wasn't his best, able to defend up to his best abilities. The Mavs rolled out Dorian Finney-Smith, who is a nice 3-and-D guy. Like, he's a good wing. But it was just him, and at times he seemed to really wear down. He's not the best player offensively or isn't always an offensive threat. And the wing and bigger bodies and being more athletic was something that they really wanted to address because they knew that's what they needed to really take the next step in the West. And they definitely accomplished that by going out. Josh Richardson's going to step in and be their best defender already. As mentioned before, he can guard the point guards like Damian Lillard, John Morant, CJ McCollum. He can pick up Devin Booker, James Harden, Paul George, and even go up and guard a little bit bigger threes. So he won't single-handedly shut down someone like Kawhi Leonard did with the Raptors and Spurs. But Josh Richardson is a good defender, and he can take a lot of time guarding these guys in those high-stakes, high moments when Dorian Finney-Smith maybe needs a break, or you can use them to spell each other. So if you think of the direct comparison of Josh Richardson and Seth Curry, Richardson's about 4 or 5 inches taller. He's much longer, quicker, much more athletic, and that's a huge thing to be able to go out and get, especially when you have Luka Doncic already on the perimeter. And if you put them both on the floor together in the backcourt, you've got two guys right there that are 6'6 plus. When you get Finney-Smith at the 3, Porzingis and another big, that's a huge lineup. Or you can stack it and put Jalen Brunson out there with them, go Luka, Josh Richardson, and then however you want to shake out Kleba and, any other big. So offensively, like, Josh Richardson works really well with this group and team because he can score it off the ball, off the bounce. He can make shots when he needs to. And obviously, let's say something happens to Luka or he's just getting a rest and he's off the floor. Josh can make plays. He brings size. And again, they haven't had that really offensively from a wing in a few years. Like, they had Trey Burke, who's a little bit smaller, JJ Barea, obviously, Seth Curry, whom they traded. You've got Tim Hardaway Jr. He's a little bit more of a spot up, catch and shoot. Josh Richardson can make plays a little bit better than he does. And when you add him into the mix for this Mavs team, all that does is it makes them more lethal. You add him in late in the game, he's another threat and another player that the team has a game plan for. Josh Richardson is a good pro. And definitely at home as a third best player on an NBA contender. And that's just fine. His skills complement all teams and most players very well. And he's also well-rounded. So some of you may be out there wondering, why would the 76ers give up a player like that if he is so good and versatile? Well, the 76ers got themselves into a little bit of a financial hard spot these last few off seasons. And by being able to get rid of the contracts of Al Horford, Josh Richardson, Daryl Morey did a great job, and they gave themselves more flexibility financially and actually got back some shooting with getting Seth Curry. So this trade should work out really well for both teams. The 76ers really needed more offense as they're really good defensively. And then the Mavs are really, really good offensively but needed more defense. So both should be better and improve respectively from last season. And in the NBA, teams really capitalize on weaknesses, and obviously it's a copycat league. So one of the problems that the Mavs ran into last season is that Luka ran the point. Obviously, he's a big guy on the wing, is 6'8". They would play a lot of perimeter scores that ranged from 6 foot to 6'3", 6'4". And you don't necessarily want to have Luka doing what he does offensively and then going and having to guard some of the best players in the NBA on defense. So there were mismatches and opportunities where the smaller guys like Seth Curry, Trey Burke, Jalen Brunson, JJ Barea, were put in tough situations because of their size. And making this move to go out and get Josh Richardson makes you bigger on the wing defensively, and he still brings plenty of offensive ability and a scoring punch. You're not trading too much offense to get a really good defender on the floor. In the Clippers series against the Mavs, the Clippers just got too many easy baskets from time to time, and it eventually added up. It was still a really tight series, don't get me wrong, but the Clippers' ability to switch everything defensively, get out in transition, And at times, the Mavs would take advantage of that because of their speed and quickness. But more times than not, the Clippers were able to hunt down pick and rolls and pick on the little guys. So that should not happen as much when you go out and get someone like Josh Richardson, especially in one-possession playoff games. So in order to take the next step, the Mavs knew they needed to go out and get players that would help them defensively without sacrificing too much on the offensive end. The Mavs have always been a great offensive team, but in order to win a chip, their defense had to improve. They needed someone, and as many guys as possible, who can slow down Damian Lillard, Jamal Murray, Kawhi Leonard, and so many players in the West. So this trade to go get Josh Richardson isn't going to be a huge headline, but it should be for Mavs fans. Josh Richardson is a gritty athletic wing who will help this team on both ends of the floor. And although the game in the NBA and way it's played favors offense, defense is still the difference maker, especially in the playoffs. The Mavs also doubled down on this by drafting Josh Green, who is another athletic wing from Arizona, so another guy that can come in, help, and spell minutes on defense. And I'm so excited to watch Josh Richardson and these Mavs play and hopefully make it a long season where they're playing deep into the playoffs. Thank you for checking out today's video. Comment below and let us know how far you think the Mavs will go in 2021.